This book is written for traders who have enough to be dangerous, right? They can sync their own accounts. They think they know what they're doing, but they're struggling with consistency.
This whole thing that we've talked about today is a combination of auction market theory, a little bit of volume profile, and VWAP.
Correct. You know, I got to the point where I was almost comfortable sitting in a $25,000 loss.
That's not good.
That's not good at all.
Right.
But there's the sunken loss fallacy.
Yeah.
Right? So once we've spent so much time doing one thing, and it's still not working out for us, same thing with holding on to a losing trade, we tend to not let it go, even though it's hurting us.
Do you think that in order to be successful and make money as a trader, you have to be passionate about it?
In my opinion, there's a lot more opportunity in taking level-to-level trades and accumulating points that way, rather than searching for the one banger trade that may or may not come.
What's up, traders? Welcome back to the podcast. I've got a very special guest here today, Mr. Chris Drysdale. Chris, thanks for coming.
So nice to meet you.
Dude.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to talk to you about everything that we just talked about at breakfast.
Let's do it.
We're going to kick the can back open. Pull that mic a little closer. I want to make sure we get that nice and deep voice. Everybody, Chris brought some gifts this morning. So we're going to first show off the shirts. Where can they get the shirts?
So they can get that. There's a link in my bio on social media. It's through TeePublic. It's just an opportunity to get some merchandise out there. I barely make any money with it. It's just for fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
And if you wear it, you'll look jacked like Chris does.
That's right.
In the shirt.
Got to hit the gym a little more times with the shirt, and then it'll work.
We also got the book.
Yes.
The book is out now as of when? When did this
It's live as of June 17th on Amazon.
Now, we're going to talk a lot about Chris's background, Chris's story, everything like that in today's podcast. But let's just talk about this for a quick second.
Sure.
VWAP Wave. We'll get into the strategy behind that, where that comes from. Why did you decide to write a book?
Well, one thing I always found, when I was taking a lot of trader education is that I would learn a lot of theory.
Okay.
And I'd learn a lot of, opportunities of how price action worked. And what I'd hear them talk about setups and A+ setups, but I would never really get any clear-cut definitions or idea of what these setups looked like.
I bet you a lot of people will agree with that.
Right. So, I hear about this A+ setup, but I still don't know what one looks like. And it used to drive me crazy. So my goal with the book was to put together a system that had clear-cut setups based on auction market theory, based on using these specific tools, so that when you took a setup, you could give it a name, and you can tell maybe your mentor or write in your journal, what setup did I take? So I had a mentor early on that always said, if I can't name my setup, it's not a trade. So that was kind of the guiding light for this book, was to give traders specific rules, a specific system based on auction market theory. It's completely discretionary. So the edge is actually in its discretion, and the ability to know what trade you're taking and why you're taking it.
Edge is in the discretion. So to build the edge, you must build discretion.
Correct.
And that's kind of what you're teaching in the book.
Correct. So,
interesting.
So the book is a starting point, right? The book isn't the end all. The book allows you to understand how to trade the system. It gives you the rules. It gives you a structure that works, but the edge in the description,
discretion.
Yeah, the edge in the discretion is built through experience, through practice.
Right.
Now, when you keep trading the system and over a bunch of hours and days and years, even in screen time, that's where the discretion is built.
For sure. So would a VWAP trader like myself drop into this book and be able to understand it, or would I need a background in market profile, auction theory, all that stuff?
So the beauty is you shouldn't need a ton of background in VWAP or volume profile.
Cool.
You do need some basic trader knowledge, right? So the book isn't for somebody who doesn't have a broker, they've never traded before, they've never traded futures.
What is a candlestick?
What is a candlestick? How many ticks do,
Just Google that.
Right, exactly. Get some intro under your belt. This will help you take that information to the next step. Right?
Cool.
This book is written for traders who have enough to be dangerous. Right? Ooh. They can sync their own accounts. They think they know what they're doing, but they're struggling with consistency.
I love that.
The book helps give a framework to what they already know and hopefully get them over the hump. I call it the almost stage. Almost made it.
Yeah.
I'm almost there.
I love that.
I can see how close I am, but I keep wiping out my profits.
And that's where this comes in.
That's where the book comes in.
And it's $20?
It's $20. Yep, on Amazon. Yep.
Great deal.
Thank you.
Great deal. Traders, real quick, a pause from today's podcast to thank our first sponsor, Top One Futures. You've probably heard about them by now. Top One has been a sponsor of this show for over 2 years. We've got a link in the description that's going to save you over 35% on any challenge with Top One Futures. Just use the code ASFX and that'll save you the biggest discount that they're offering at the time of you watching this. Big shout out to Clay for being here and also for helping us make this podcast happen. A big thank you to our second sponsor, TradeZella. If you're not tracking your trades, you're falling behind. I can save you on the monthly plan and the yearly plan, whichever works better for you, but we would highly recommend that you start tracking your trades today using TradeZella. I'm a big fan of Umar. They have been nothing but supportive and helpful to me and my community, so we want to save you guys money and we want to get you tracking today. Use the link in the description and you will be able to save either 10% or 20% on your monthly or yearly plan. Now let's get back to the podcast. We'll get into the auction theory stuff, I think, because I would guess that a lot of the audience wants to know more about that.
Sure.
But let's back up. Let's talk about your story. Okay. So let me give you a quick intro. Everybody, Chris comes from a background of finance. His dad and his dad's brother, so your uncle,
Yep.
worked on Wall Street.
That's correct.
Bonds and what was your uncle doing?
Municipal bonds and government securities.
Back in the heyday, we were talking about
80s.
80s and 90s, right? Before technology took over, right? So you have that background, but that really wasn't the only thing you were doing. You also had CrossFit and fitness as a big part of your upbringing and a part of your personality. Together, those things, it sounded like when you were kind of breaking down your story, those things have like ebbed and flowed, come in waves. You were trading how long?
I started trading in 2010, so that was 15 years ago.
Then really has started to pick it back up in the last couple of years, like you were saying with Ross Cameron and then now with the prop firm stuff.
Yep.
And throughout that journey, there's been some big wins, $250,000.
$250,000 in 3 months, yep.
So let's start with the wins, and then we'll talk about some losses, and then let's get into the nitty gritty of where your strategy comes from.
Absolutely.
So biggest win that you can share with us comes from the penny stock days?
That's right, small caps.
Okay, so tell us that.
Also penny stocks.
Yeah.
So when I started trading with Ross, that's primarily what they trade. Low float, small caps. They move a lot intraday, hundreds, sometimes even thousands of percents.
Yep.
So these guys were making big wins. I was super impressed by Ross's P&L. He's all verified, supplies his broker statements, all that kind of stuff. So this guy was making money, and I wanted to see how I can do with that as well. I traded a little different than Ross. I traded the short side. I was short exclusive, trading hard to borrow small caps.
Okay.
So stocks that made big parabolic runs and then eventually retraced or faded from there. I became really successful. It was also a bear market in 2022 that probably also helped that edge quite a bit. And I was over the summer of 2022, I was able to lock in about $250,000 in just under 3 months.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. Why did you leave penny stocks if you were able to find success like that?
Absolutely. So if you've ever traded small caps, especially low float small caps or penny stocks, they can be extremely volatile and volatile to the max. I'm talking about 100% drops or pops that can happen in the blink of an eye. A big player, a hedge fund, a market maker can drop thousands of shares on your head. And it's one thing for it to drop that much so fast, but we also deal with something called halts. Now, we don't see halts very much in futures.
No.
That's on only the most volatile days. We'll go years without ever seeing a halt. These things halt every single day.
That's crazy.
So in these more volatile, low float stocks, you'll see, you could be in a position and out of nowhere, this thing will halt up or down, and you sit there in your position not knowing what's going to happen next. It can open up 50% higher. It could open up 50% lower. And it becomes very much a gambling proposition at that point.
Stressful.
Yep.
Sounds
it's great
stressful.
when it works in your favor, but it can wipe you out quite easily if you have any type of size.
Speaking of wipeouts, you mentioned to me at breakfast the $25,000
I did.
loss.
Yep.
Let's talk about that. So
Right.
we get the $250K on the win. Let's talk about the $25K on the loss.
So as you can imagine, as you have a $250,000 streak, you're working with some sizable capital,
For sure.
right? You get comfortable with risking larger amounts of money, larger sizes. In this one particular day, it was a stock, I think it was QGLY. It's not even listed anymore. That's how garbage of a stock it was.
That's crazy.
And I was pretty heavy into it. I think I had about 20,000 shares short. of this stock, and it just started halting up out of nowhere. Went into a halt. I started getting nervous. Okay, we're in a halt, but I have a lot of drawdown to work with. It opened up 15 minutes later, and it immediately went into another halt higher.
Oh my God. Are these halting like the indices 7%, 13%, or they're
No,
different? It's different.
It's based on their price.
Oh my God.
So they have volatility bands.
So could you be
so to speak?
like 100%
Yes.
in drawdown at a halt?
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's depending on, so it's quite wild. I mean, that 100% would be, rare, but it could be sizable.
Okay. So how did that play out?
So this particular stock went halt to halt to halt. I think there was in total about 4 halts before we were able to get out. And before I even had a chance to do anything, my broker liquidated me for a $25,000 loss.
Jeez. Does the broker say anything to you?
No, they don't care.
They don't care. Nothing.
This is probably a regular occurrence for these guys.
For
I
sure.
worked with a boutique broker, and they specialize to shorters like myself, shorts. So they had the best deals on hard to borrow equities.
And you're saying this probably wasn't the first time they've had to do that to somebody.
I've also kind of gleaned some information.
Like what?
I think that I found out they also have a market making business.
Okay.
So this is a broker that also has a market making business, and by regulations they're not allowed to talk to each other.
That sounds like a conflict of interest.
It could very much be a conflict of interest.
Right.
It would take just one quick message to somebody over at the market making desk.
We got orders coming in here. Move this.
This particular equity is particularly heavy short right now, and
Let's squeeze them.
They can squeeze everybody out. Theoretically, I'm not saying that's what happened,
Right.
but it's quite possible.
Quite possible.
Yep.
Wow. It's crazy they can operate like
They
that.
can. Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
So these things are rigged and manipulated. There's no secret about that. But that's the nature of it. That's the nature of the beast.
At the end of that day, the $25,000 loss day, what do you do?
Well, I panicked for a bit. It wears on you, right?
Absolutely.
I don't care how much money you're making or how many. $25,000 is a lot of money, right, to lose in one day. And it was starting to. And that wasn't the only one. I had a couple other big banger losers as well. It starts to wear on you. I wasn't sleeping as well. I was feeling anxiety. I'd wake up and, I wouldn't know if this is the day I was walking into where I'd take another huge loss. There was just a lot of unpredictability and very tough to manage risk. And I started to question myself, is there a better way? Is this the best place for me? Right? Am I doing the right thing? Is this where I need to be? Is there edge elsewhere? Is there something I could be trading that could put my skills to use without assuming so much risk?
But you didn't think about quitting?
I didn't think about quitting. No.
It didn't even come across your mind?
Maybe there were times, just out of rhetorical, oh, this sucks. I can't do this.
Fuck this.
But I'm very lucky. I had a wife that has always supported me. And even on my hardest days, she always encouraged me to keep going, which I think is rare. A lot of wives, I think, are a little more risk averse.
Definitely.
And I'm not trying to broad stroke women in that way, but that's been my experience.
Absolutely. I think the audience would agree.
Yeah. And, she just saw something in me, that I could do this. And she always encouraged me to keep going, obviously to manage risk, right? And not do anything stupid. Always encouraging me to bring it in a little bit and how we're doing well. And I don't need to make $250,000 in 3 months. I don't. I can make $50,000 in 3 months and we would still probably be living the same way we are now.
Right.
Right.
Perspective.
Women
are good for that sometimes.
They are very good
They're
for
very
that.
good for that.
Right.
I think it's interesting that in this business, you guys like you and me, I am very fortunate. I've got a great wife like you do, supportive. I think sometimes we think that it's a small piece to our success. We don't maybe give it enough credit. And I think we should, only because there's younger guys listening to this that I think don't want to even talk to their girlfriend about their trading. They don't even want to confront it with that. And I would encourage them to do the opposite. Share everything. What would you say?
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
It keeps me reeled in, first of all.
Right.
Because I'm not risk averse.
Same.
I am happy to take risks.
Same.
Almost to my own detriment.
Absolutely.
So it helps having a partner that can kind of counteract that a little bit.
100%.
So we've actually built a system where we sit down on the first of every month and we go over everything.
That's good.
So it's not a day-to-day thing.
Right.
You know, how did I trade today?
Right.
You know, because that would drive me crazy.
Yes.
You know, I don't want to talk about my losing days with my wife when I've lost money,
Right.
you know? But at the end of the month, we can sit down and how did things shake out for that month?
When you have a losing day now, we'll get into the transition from the penny stocks into the future stuff in a second. But when you have the losing days then and the losing days now, are you the kind of guy that wants to beat himself up, go to the gym, kill somebody kind of thing because you're mad? Or are you the opposite? Remember, I had Isaac in here and he was like, I go get a steak dinner and get a manicure.
Right.
Where do you sit on like how to take care of yourself on a losing day?
I think at this point, I've been desensitized to it. Now, I'm not saying I don't get annoyed.
Sure.
Or I don't, you know, I'm not upset in the moment. But I can walk away for that day, be a little annoyed, but continue. And I have a very rigid schedule. I do the same thing every day, right? I know what I'm doing on any given day of the week.
So it's not like you could sit there and keep trading.
Yeah, right.
Right? You got to leave. You got to go CrossFit.
I do my things.
Yes.
Right. I do a lot of things in the afternoon. So
what has desensitized you to it? Is it the experiences?
It's the experience.
Having enough of them over
Taking
time.
enough of the
not
losses.
quitting.
And knowing it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world.
As long as I can manage it, right?
Yeah.
I don't need a loss that's going to financially ruin me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the beauty of futures is having the tools to be able to prevent that from happening.
Love
which
that.
doesn't as much exist in the stock trading world
Sure.
for whatever reason. There are broker liquidations that you can set up at the broker level, but you have zero control on an individual level. I can't go in and set the parameters. I have to call my broker.
Right.
And why? Why can't I have control? This is 2025. You know, we've clearly seen through the brokers that I can do it myself through the press of a button. I find it very hard to believe that every broker can have that.
Well, why?
Or
you say.
why?
Why? Because
Yeah.
they don't want to.
We know.
We know why. Right. Before we leave that point in the journey as well, one more question. With big losses usually comes big lessons. When you look back on it through the period of time when you were working with Ross, if you could give that person, advice in that moment, what would you say? Because there's people right now watching that are maybe going through some drawdown right now. What lessons do you have when you reflect back on big losses that you maybe could have done better during that period of time to either limit the loss, take it better? What would you say to that?
Yeah, stick to your stop losses for sure.
So what were you doing? Moving stops?
Well, I was, but also, you know, I didn't have much control on the halt section. But my broker liquidation is set way too high. I was willing to risk way too much money.
Got it. Tighter risk controls.
Yeah.
That's your advice.
You know, I got to the point where I was almost comfortable sitting in a $25,000 loss.
That's not good.
That's not good at all.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Hoping it would come back, or maybe it would come back. And it did sometimes.
Yeah.
Which teaches us
Bad habits.
very bad habits.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So
tighter risk controls.
tighter risk
You know,
controls.
it's funny. We were on stream yesterday with Tanner. He came on my stream, and he's in a trade. He's in a winning trade, and the words he used were, "I think it's safer for me to move my take profit off rather than just keep it here." And I said to him in front of 1,000 people on stream, I go, "It's funny you're talking about moving profit and safer in the same word,
Right.
Because in my head, like you just said, safer is only tighter risk controls,
Right.
not more profit. And you
Right.
know what? He closed the trade, and it would have come all the way back
All
to
the
his
way
entry,
back.
and he ended up making $1,000 instead of
Nice.
nothing.
Yeah.
So it is really important to always be thinking risk first.
Absolutely.
So how did that mindset help you as you made the shift from small caps, penny stocks into futures trading?
Yeah, and it came with experience.
For
What
sure.
I started to find through my journaling and trading is that on my good trading days, my drawdown wasn't that big. I could have a nice, profitable trading day without going red too much. And if I was going red too much, it means something was dramatically wrong.
Sure.
I was either risking too much, I was oversized, or I was giving it too much room.
You started to pay attention and say, like, how many of my good trades are my taking on all this drawdown? Not many.
Absolutely.
Those are bad trades.
Correct.
Okay. Interesting.
Right? My good trades don't go too red too often. I want them to work almost immediately.
Right.
And that's because I'm trading inflection levels, right? So they should react at that level, and if they're not,
Something's wrong.
Something's wrong.
Yeah. So strategy-wise, same strategy trading penny stocks to now what you're doing with the VWAP Wave trading futures, or different?
So it's kind of a hybrid.
Okay.
Right. So
Explain
I always use, even trading small caps, I used VWAP with the standard deviation bands.
One standard deviation,
Yep.
you said, yeah? Okay.
So when it's above the standard deviation, we're in price discovery. We could expect continued upside. When it breaks below and holds beneath the upper standard deviation, we can expect a mean reversion trade.
Okay.
Back to VWAP or even lower band.
Did you find that worked better in futures?
I found it worked even better.
In futures.
It was more reliable and cleaner in
Interesting.
futures.
Probably because of the size of the market.
The liquidity.
The liquidity,
Yep.
right? Because you were trading some of these stocks with low float.
Low float,
It's going to gap.
easily
It's going to look
moved.
weird.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. When did the prop firm stuff come into picture?
So when I started making the switch over to futures, I started with just a free TradeAvate account.
Nice.
Just a demo.
Nice.
And I was like, this is awesome. I loved it immediately. I loved the liquidity. I loved the way the price action moved, how much it moved, the rotations. And I saw more of an edge than I ever saw in small caps immediately.
Interesting.
And I was having some mild success just demoing. No strategy, just learning futures.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn how it moved, how the ticks moved. I don't know if you're familiar with prop firm drills, but there's a lot of drills with price action where you can just trade for an hour just trying to get a couple of ticks. With a small short, just a small stop, just to feel the price action.
Sure.
There's something called the always in a strategy where you're just always in a trade, right? So I'm long until I need to reverse and go short. And you stay in a trade for 2 hours. So you go
Interesting.
up until you think it's going to reverse. You hit reverse. So if you're in one contract, you're always in one contract, long or short.
Okay. Can we sidebar on that for a second?
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of the way that I trade. So tell me
Okay.
about this. Like what I've leaned into lately with the VWAP is I'll use like a 930 VWAP from market open. And when we're above that VWAP, I'm kind of like what you just said. I'm long. In
Right.
some capacity, I want to be long.
Right.
And then when that VWAP is taken, I'm either short or I'm flat.
Correct.
Kind of like what you're talking
Very
about, where
much
I'm
so.
just very reactionary,
Right.
not forecasting.
And what that also helps is with being patient.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Because you don't have the option to close the trade early.
No.
You only have the option to reverse the trade.
Yeah. And wait for more information. You need the
Correct.
market to tell you to do something rather than your brain say, yo, this is about to happen right now. Do this.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting.
Yep.
All right. So now back to the prop firm stuff.
So, and then there's another one called coin flip.
Okay.
All right. Heads your long, tails your
No
short.
way. And you're sitting at the desk flipping a coin?
You flip a coin. If you get heads, you have to look for a long. That's
Oh
the
my
rule.
God.
And then you set a timer. You have 30 minutes to an hour to take one long trade.
Interesting. I've
Yeah.
never heard of any of that. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Did that, you think, helped you just
It
get
does.
comfortable with the futures trading and
Now,
stuff
these
like
aren't
that?
trading strategies.
No, it's just like to
these
feel
are
the
like
market.
practice, like soccer, right? You go out, you have drills in
Drills.
soccer.
Yeah.
And this helps you become better at
I love it.
soccer.
I love it.
Yeah. So these price action drills, we call them, and I do it with my mentees as well.
Nice.
Is to bring them through these drills and just get comfortable with the price action,
Now-
to learn it.
You mentioned to me before we walked in, you have a student that just maxed out payouts with top one futures.
do.
Is he someone that did the drills?
He's actually not a mentee. He's just in the premium.
Okay.
So he went through the course. He went through all my videos, traded exclusively the VWAP Wave system, bought 3 instant funded top one accounts. He said, I'm only going to trade VWAP Wave in these accounts, maxed them out 3 times in a row.
Good for him, bro.
Yeah.
I hope he's listening to
Yeah.
that. That's a huge
I'm sure he
win.
is. That's Kobe, everybody.
Kobe. Good for you, buddy.
Yeah.
So, Kobe. So, all right, that's very interesting. So you started with the drills. Did you go to Apex first? I think is what we said at breakfast.
It was Apex.
It was Apex.
Yep. And
So-
at the time, that was Apex's heyday.
Heyday.
Right?
Yes. 2023.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
Yeah.
2023.
So what did you think of Apex?
I thought it was awesome. I was like, and then the copy trading thing, right? And that was a foreign concept to me.
Huge.
So you're telling me that I can trade 10 accounts and only make $200 each of them and take all of the money? I was like, it's way easier to make $200 than it is to make $1,000. Obviously, that's how it resonates in everybody's head.
Absolutely.
Right? So I love that idea, right? So I went all in on that.
And what was the journey like with them?
It was great. I blew a bunch of evaluations and accounts during that process, but then I started hitting, 5-figure payouts. So I got a couple $20,000 payouts with Apex.
That's awesome. You hear everybody? He blew accounts and still got payouts. I think so many people listening that haven't taken the jump into prop space yet
Right.
are like afraid to fail prop accounts because they think they'll, think of themselves poorly. The prop firm will think of them poorly. No. Everyone that I've had in the chair, everyone that I've had on the show that takes payouts has failed accounts.
Absolutely.
So how do you see failure in the prop space? What is your perspective on trading psychology in terms of dealing with failure?
For sure. I see it as a kind of a raised bar, right? So they have these rules, right? Rules that would not apply to your cash account, which I think if you can be successful in prop, I think you could definitely be successful in a cash account.
Sure.
Because of the less rules. Now, there's tilt in cash accounts. It doesn't apply to prop.
But if you can put the restrictions in place, you can
you
prevent
can put
it.
the restrictions in place. Absolutely. So I found that, we talked about the almost phase,
Yes.
right? So I would get so far in these accounts. I'd have really good days, but, inevitably I'd have that one trade that I wasn't willing to let go. right? It was almost always the story, right? I'd be close to passing the evaluation. I'd be close to a payout. And I just didn't want to take the loss. I was like, man, I'm so close. I'd rather gamble on me losing all of these accounts than take the loss and have to rework, is essentially what would happen. And
I mean, that's
trader psychology.
That is me
101.
in a lot of ways. Like,
Yeah.
I'll have, like, this month, I've had all green days except 3.
Yeah.
And one of those was a huge red day because
Right.
of exactly what you. So I'm sure the audience relates to that. So how did you work through that?
Well, we have to put our safeguards on. For me, it was about getting out of bad trades earlier.
Okay.
Before they turned into a place where I was not willing to gamble the entire account on letting them go. Right.
What about your perspective on just handling losing days in that sense? Like, you feel as though, like, okay, if I can cut this loss faster, I can keep trading.
Yep.
I can try to make it back, get back to break even,
Yep.
right? Okay.
So, and this has led to kind of this dynamic risk management system I use where I'll start with smaller size, build up a little bit of a cushion, and then be willing to risk my profits on bigger trades.
Interesting.
Not so much willing, and that screws the trailing drawdown, which I hate.
The intraday
so that's
trail-
the intraday trailing drawdown, which is a big Apex thing. So I'm not a fan. That you wouldn't experience that in live conditions, nor maybe it fits with certain trading styles. But for me, who likes the dynamic risk management, where I'm willing to risk profits on the day to hit bigger trades, it doesn't work so well.
Can you speak on that a little bit more? Because I feel like a lot of people are the opposite.
Right.
They go up 500 and then they'll risk 200 on the next trade instead of risking the original 500 plus the 500 they made, which it sounds like you might do. So
Right.
you'll risk 1,000 on the next trade.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, explain the mindset behind that. That's very interesting.
Right. So mentally for me, because being set back to zero, I'm fine with just starting over again. Right. It's a long market. I usually hit profit target within the first hour or two. If I need to sit at the desk a little longer and put in the work in, I'm fine with that. What I don't want to happen is deep red. Right. Deep red is not okay. I'm okay with going back to flat. Right. So my mindset is if I built up some cushion, right, I can mentally wrap my head around going flat on the day rather than going deep red on the day. So I'll start with smaller size, build up that cushion. So I'm a little more willing to take risk to put me just at break even rather than a big banger out of the day and ruin my day out of the bat.
And how does that work when you want to be done trading in the first 2 hours, really?
So it works usually 80% of the time.
Because you're trading quick?
Yeah, I trade quick and high probability levels.
Okay.
Right?
Explain that.
So I have inflection points that I'm always watching based on the system.
Okay.
Right? I found these areas, there's almost always a reaction, right? And if I can trade the reaction well with nice execution, good fills, and I trade it well, I almost never really go much red.
Interesting. Can you give any context to those levels so the listeners, without reading the book, maybe they can
Yeah, absolutely.
check it out
so
themselves?
If we're above the deviation bands, hitting the deviation band, there's almost always a reaction on NQ or ES, VWAP, of course, based on order flow. Now, if we're tanking, right, be careful, right? I'm not just going to touch VWAP and buy it. But if it's traveled a long distance,
I've tried that, buddy.
Yeah, maybe long distance, maybe I will.
Okay,
right? Because I expect after a huge move in a really fast period of time, we might have some buyer step in on somewhat of an empty order book.
If you look at the price action yesterday,
Yep.
When it rose all morning,
Yep.
came back to VWAP and went right through it.
Yep.
And I've been the guy trying to get that perfect
right,
price.
and that was a news facilitated sell-off.
Yeah, it was based on, I think, Trump and Canada saying they're not going to continue
Those
talks.
are good reasons to not take one of those quick sell-offs.
Because you have Trump saying something.
You have news dropping. Yeah.
Okay, let's sidebar onto that for a second since you mentioned the news. How have, you've traded since, what is that? Fuck, dude, I don't want to date you, like 15 years almost now, right? What does a Trump presidency to you as a trader feel? How does it feel different than previous presidencies?
Yeah, absolutely. So you have the volatility factor, right? I'm not a fan of trading news volatility.
Okay.
So if we start seeing those wiki candles where things are just
crazy,
whoa, what just happened? I'm not in. I'm sitting down waiting for the dust to settle a little bit.
Yeah.
Now that will create nice volatility on the day.
Sure.
But I don't need to trade the immediate empty order book where I think most of the big traders are pulling orders.
Well, you see it on Bookmap.
Exactly.
I know you're using Bookmap, right? So you see it. It gets
Right.
dark before the news comes. That's algos turning off. Everything's shutting off, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't need to be involved in that. My edge is eroded by news.
Edge is eroded by news.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got to wait for the dust to settle because I expect price to react at my levels. And if there's news in an empty order book, there's less probability that I'm going to get the reaction I'm looking for.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Can you compare it to like when Joe Biden was president? We had less volatility, but did the strategy perform any differently?
It did. The news candles are fun and the volatility is fun, but this system works in a low volatility environment as well. Yeah.
Interesting.
I probably won't hit my profit as fast. It's a little more of a grindy market. I have to be a little more patient for setups, but they do come. And I do a market recap for my community every day based on where the VWAP Wave System trades were. And it's in hindsight.
Yeah, but that's so helpful to them because then they can go back and see I did see that happening. I was
exactly. And we'll trade a lot of them live on stream. Yeah. But they can go back and be like, why didn't I see this one? Why did I miss this one? What did this feel like in real time? They can go back to the stream.
Sure.
Right. So the big reason I do that is to provide the conviction that these setups are materializing every day. Right. Let's look back. Where did these setups?
Well, it's not like the VWAP is gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And with the bands and the volume profile. Same thing with the volume profile. We look for low volume nodes, point of controls on distributions, things of that nature. Now, when they all line up, that's a heavy conviction trade. So we have upper band on VWAP lined up with the initial balance high with a low volume node. I'm going to probably hit that level with some size for a scalp.
And a scalp on NQ for you is how many points?
It could be 5 to 10 points.
Small.
It's small.
Yeah.
But I'll hit it with a couple of minis.
Got it.
Yeah.
Why NQ over ES?
It moves faster and more reliably in one direction over the other, whereas ES is so thick and the order flow is so thick, you don't normally get the retracements at a level you might get with NQ.
In thick meaning there's so many stocks in it?
There's so many orders.
So many orders.
Yeah.
So many participants.
There's more orders in the book, and then there's more passive orders that are being refreshed. So this is the way I see it. As prices going up and all of these hedge funds, institutions, they're buying, right? They're not just buying on the ask, but they're supporting the bid.
Sure.
Right. So as price goes up, they're refreshing the bid. So as we hit maybe a high probability level to the upside, looking for a brief retracement, if we have all these algos supporting the bid on ES, we might not get a good bounce off that level. Whereas NQ, it's not as thick, and you can catch a nicer scalp off a level, even though the overall intention is to go up.
What's your perspective on the algorithms that are moving price? Are you aware of them? Are you trading around them, trading with them? How do you see that?
I think we try to trade with them.
Yeah.
Right. So on these up grindy days where like almost every sell candle is bought up, in my mind, that's an algorithm, and I can recognize it on those days. We can recognize it kind of early on stream too.
Are you using Bookmap to recognize that?
I used to. I don't use it as much.
Okay, so you're just reading candles.
Yeah.
100 tick charts, minute charts?
I have the DOM up as well.
Okay.
Yep. So the DOM and cumulative delta.
Cumulative delta.
Yeah.
Yesterday was very weird.
Yeah.
Delta was negative as price was moving higher, and then like we said, it sold off.
Right.
Can you teach me about that? What
Sure,
does that mean?
would be a divergence.
Yes.
Right? So if it's selling, delta is negative, we have a lot of sellers. The bid is being supported, but eventually, if we get a divergence where price is moving higher and delta is moving lower, that's a bearish signal, right? So they're getting filled to maybe bring this thing down.
Who's filling them? So we're saying like retail is long or retail is.
It's hard to say.
It's hard to say, right? Yeah, that's
all
where I
we
get
know
confused.
is that the aggressors are short, right? Because
that's what you're seeing in the CVD.
Correct.
Yeah. Let's sidebar again for a second. I had a girl on Twitter try to rip me up on my Delta video. Meanwhile, I'm not an expert in Bookmap. I just started using it a year ago. Like I'm still learning.
Right.
Her name on Twitter, I won't even
Market Mommy.
Yeah, you saw this?
I did.
And she had her like bra hanging off.
Did see
you saw it, and I was like,
I posted it in the Discord,
dude. I'm like, I don't know everything.
She popped up on my feed randomly right after you talked about it.
And now we're giving her clout in the fucking podcast. Fuck it, dude. Subscribe to her OnlyFans.
Yeah.
I don't want people to think that these things like Bookmap, even VWAP, they are not as complicated as some people want them to be. I think she kind of came off to me. Some of these people come off to me as like they're trying to overcomplicate something to make themselves seem smarter. When like you just explained to me what the CVD meant yesterday. It's not that complicated.
And it's also just it's a thesis, right?
Exactly.
It's not this flawless signal.
Nothing's guaranteed.
Nothing is guaranteed.
Unfortunately.
It's a part of the overarching story on the thesis I might have. Right. So it helps confirm it. So I was told also by a great mentor that anything on our screens is either confirming or filtering a trade.
Everything on the screen is confirming or filtering.
So it's either giving us a reason to take a trade or not take a trade.
Not take a trade.
Correct. So if you have conflicting signals, One's telling you to buy, one's telling you to sell. It's not necessarily telling you, it's a reason to not take a trade.
Right, you're getting a mixed bag.
So if I'm coming down to upper band for a long, right, and cumulative delta up there is to help confirm it or filter it out, it's not in a certain way I want it, I won't take the trade.
Interesting. Okay, so let me ask you a question on that. I've given people this advice. I want you to tell me if you disagree with it.
Okay.
I've been telling people that are new, that maybe are not taking payouts yet in my coaching program. We study their stats in TradeZella. We see if they trade long or short better, and I tell them to trade one side of the market. I say either go long or go flat. I feel like that simplifies their decisions. They don't have to be long, short, or flat. That's long or flat. What do you think about that? Is that good advice or bad advice?
I think that's great advice.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me why.
Especially somebody who's struggling maybe more on the short side.
Exactly.
Right. Some people, I know a lot of great traders that are long only.
Yeah.
They'll never short the market.
Who were we just talking about at breakfast that's long only?
Ross Cameron.
Yeah, yeah.
He won't take short. I mean, I think I've seen him take one short
But
trade.
like in America, like what are you doing shorting the indices
Exactly.
at all-time highs?
Right.
I think like we were talking about maybe there's a double top, right?
Yeah.
Of course, like we don't know.
Right.
But I remember March 2 years ago, we made all-time highs. And I remember saying to myself, if I get bearish now, I'm the same Austin that I was 5 years ago.
Right.
Trying to call tops, if I just ride the trend, I don't know where this thing goes.
Right.
And I don't want to bet against America. So I like that a lot. I like the long only or the short only. And I think it depends on what market you were in. Because if you look at the success that you mentioned that you had already, it came during a year-long bear market.
Beat up market.
Beat
right?
up market.
Paid big to be short.
Paid big to be short. And then look at this year, down and up 25% in 4 months. Basically, that's more volatility than what we saw in a year bear market.
Right.
So that dynamic is different.
Now, as a scalper, you want more setups.
Absolutely.
Right? So you want to take more trades. And a lot of us, I don't want to sit at the desk all day. I just don't. I have a life. I have things I want to do. If I can be done in 2 hours, that's great. So what I like about this system is that it allows me to take long or short. Right? It doesn't really matter what the overall market is doing because we're just trading level to level.
Right.
Right. There will absolutely be a long bias in the current market conditions.
Sure.
Because the higher time frames on the system, the intraday system, is all flagging bull trades. Now we do have an advanced playbook as well.
Okay.
Where we'll short extensions, exhaustion levels.
Meaning it's extended too far and needs to pull back to some extent.
Correct. And we're not looking for reversals.
Massive
Let's be
reversals.
clear. We're not looking for
something
we're
back for a couple-
scalping a brief pullback.
Sure. For example, let me see if I understand. London session rips. We've extended very far from VWAP. We'll maybe scalp that back pre-market for a couple points.
Correct. We like to use the initial balance extension lines.
Okay, what is that?
So the initial balance, let's say it's the initial balance is 100 points on NQ.
Okay.
Okay. The initial balance is 100 points.
And for everybody, that's the first hour.
First hour of trading. Right. 100% extension would be another 100 points above the initial balance high.
Meaning if we go another 100, we'll
Another
revert that
100
back.
points,
We'll
the initial
sell it back.
balance that if you look at the levels, I have an indicator on TradingView that will mark out these extensions.
Oh, really?
Yep. It's called the initial balance by Trader Drysdale. Put that on your chart. You'll see the 50%, the 100%, the 150%, the 200% extensions.
So if we go 200%.
Very rare in the indexes.
Sure.
And when we do, those are good places to scalp.
For pullbacks.
Correct.
Will you see that in the same extent to the downside on
Yes.
indices?
Yep. It's a little more cautious on the downside. As you know, stair step up, elevator
Well,
down.
that's what my thought is.
Yeah.
Like if we extend 100% to the downside, we
Yeah.
could slide 150.
Absolutely.
Right.
So way more cautious, but you immediately know where you're wrong. Right. And they'll also, they don't always play out to the tick.
No,
right.
unfortunately
So
not.
they'll maybe flush it by 5 or 10 points, reclaim it, and that's the long.
What do you think your average hold time on these trades is?
About 3 minutes.
Love that.
Yeah. 3 to 4 minutes.
Love that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get into trading to have their time and live their life, make money, be with their family.
Right.
And then you get into it as long as you've been in it and I've been in it and you lose that. So it's good to hear that you have not lost that. You are trying to prioritize your health, your family, your outside activities, playing soccer with your son, doing that kind of stuff.
And I trade better, quite honestly,
You
when
think
I
so?
limit my exposure to the screens.
Dude, I was stuck in a trade yesterday afternoon that I had no business being stuck in.
Right.
And I ended it at the end of the day when it bounced back. I was long and I ended scratching it. And I ended the day flat.
Right.
God, man, that is just
Draining.
such a drain.
Draining.
Bro. I don't want to be around anybody after that. I want to
Yeah.
be by myself, smoke a joint, and just chill out because
Right.
it is so draining.
Absolutely.
I want to avoid that, and yet I still get roped into it. Do you have that happen?
It does.
Yeah.
And I know I shouldn't be. Just like you said, I have no
You
business.
know it. You're sitting in there, you're going in your- in and
it's
out of your-
usually me letting a trade get away from myself.
Yep.
I was already up nice on the day.
That was me. I was
don't
green.
want to give up my profits. It's that, I'm just not willing. I'm a winner.
We're
I
all
want
the
to-
same,
This
bro.
winner doesn't take losers.
No.
And it's bullshit. it, is what it is.
It's so true. And it's so humbling
Yeah.
because it's like, check yourself, bro. You were
Right.
up and now you think you just keep slamming.
Right.
And that's like a very hard part of trading is like playing the game aggressively enough to win and feel like you're maximizing, but then still playing defense to not get blown the fuck out in a single
Absolutely.
day.
And the way it was explained to me is, mental capital. It's a finite resource. We only have so much of it.
Love that.
Right? So after we've expended 2 hours in front of the screens trying to make good decision, be patient, wait for a setup, maybe take a loss, maybe take a winner, by a couple of hours into that, our decision making begins to degrade. Right?
100% agree.
So we're not able to make as good of decisions over a prolonged period of time as we expend our mental capital. We get tired, we get bored, we get fatigued, and we start making bad decisions.
So now when I tell you that story that I was streaming from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m.,
Yeah,
you can
crazy.
imagine what I was
Absolutely.
by 11 a.m., dude, I'm
Yeah,
fried.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the guys that sometimes wake up early and have to trade before work, I've seen them do well pre-market, but then by the time they get to work, they talk to their kid in the morning, drove to work, answered some call. They keep trying to trade sometimes, and it sucks. They suck. Falls off. Yeah. Well, your brain's in 7 different places.
Right.
What do you say to the traders that think that trading is easy in terms of like, I don't need to be that focused on it. I can trade from my phone. I can trade from this. Like, how important is focus to you as a quality of successful traders?
Right. Well, at the end of the day, if you're making money, my hat off to you, right? If you can trade like that, awesome. That has not been my experience.
Same. It's like the kid that would never study and get straight A's.
Right.
Yeah. Fuck you.
I'm not that
not
kid.
me. Yeah.
I have to have a good routine. I have to be focused. I have rules. I know when I do well. I know when I don't do well. And I try and follow the habits that help me be successful and profitable. Every time I've traded from my phone in bed, I usually lose money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know what I did? I stopped trading from my phone in bed.
And it takes discipline because you always can do it.
Right.
We can go out tonight and drink and play some trade,
Absolutely.
right? Like, but it takes discipline.
Yeah.
So what would you say are some of the most important characteristics of successful traders? As someone like yourself who openly shares his losses, shares his wins, people trust you, what would you say the newer traders, the struggling traders, as far as like internally, what should they be focused on improving within themselves?
I think it's self-knowledge, right? Getting to know yourself. And everybody's different. What might work for somebody might not work for you. So there's a lot of self-discovery in trading. It's about learning yourself and what works for you as a trader and as a professional, quite frankly. And then respecting that, knowing what you're good at, what you're not, maybe areas from improvement, maybe areas which you should just abandon completely because it's just not working for you, right? There's also a big there's a lot of cognitive bias that play out in trading. Okay, and there's multiple, and I have a lot of sessions on this with my community. But there's the sunken loss fallacy.
Yeah.
Right. So once we've spent so much time doing one thing, and it's still not working out for us, same thing with holding on to a losing trade, we tend to not let it go, even though it's hurting us. We could be spending our time doing something else. We could be spending our time in another trade, but we won't let go because we've already invested so much time in this, and that's bullshit, right? That's just our mind saying that I've already put so much time into, I should be rewarded. That doesn't mean reward's coming, right? So sometimes the best thing to do is let go, right? Try something else. If it's not working for you, let go and try something else. I don't care if you've spent a year learning ICT and it's not working for you, maybe it might be time to try something else.
Well, because what are you going to do? Keep doing the same thing over and over
Right.
again?
And expecting different results.
No, that's not how it's going to work.
insanity.
Dude, you said that in a very different way than some of my other guests have said it, but the way that you explained it, I think makes it really tangible. That was a great answer. People have said before on the show, self-regulation. But I think it's more than just regulating the emotions. It's first knowing them, knowing what your triggers are, knowing where you are likely to find those internal biases come into play and try to screw you up. So what are you doing outside of trading before we get into the auction theory stuff? Fitness. Because like we used to say something that is controversial, but we'll say it. I don't know many successful traders that are super out of shape. I find
Interesting.
successful traders are usually, and I feel bad because I think of this one bigger dude that was in our mentorship group,
Right.
but he's not trading well,
Yeah.
and he didn't trade well. Like,
Right.
So I do wonder how much is it like what you do off the desk is a reflection of your respect for yourself, and if you can't respect yourself enough to go to the gym, how are you going to respect your trading rules, that kind of thing. What do you think about that? Am I wrong? Am I right? What do you think?
I think you're more than 100% right.
You think so?
Right. So, a big aspect of trading is obviously discipline.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't have discipline enough in your life to make it to the gym, trading is way harder. So if you don't have enough discipline to make it to the gym, you're probably not going to have enough discipline to trade. And that's how I see it.
At least to trade and follow your rules.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So trading is hard. Trading requires a lot of discipline. So what I've learned in fitness and other areas of life is that the discipline that I've garnered through my outside pursuits like fitness, and I've pushed myself pretty hard. I've been a CrossFit coach for going on 14 years now.
Wow.
I'm an Olympic weightlifting coach. I've done competitions and all that kind of stuff. Not at a professional. It's all amateur stuff.
Still.
But still, the discipline required to even accomplish that is a lot.
Yeah.
And, it's taught me to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, that not everything I do needs to feel good, that some of the best rewards come from, pushing yourself through pain and discomfort. And a lot of that applies to trading.
100%.
I don't know many traders who decide they want to become a trader and then find instant success. It's very rare.
God, that would have been nice.
Yeah. A lot of it comes at the end of a multi-year journey of failure. And that's the absolute truth.
And it's weird because you can become successful in trading and lose it just as fast.
Right.
When the discipline slacks, when the focus slacks.
I can't lose.
Yep, that's me. My biggest issue is overconfidence. And that's what then leads me to take bigger losses because like you just said, I can't be wrong.
Right.
I've been right 16 days in a row.
Right. I know this.
Nope.
Yeah.
The market will always humble you.
Always.
Before we get into the auction theory stuff, last family question. Your dad and your uncle were both in finance.
Correct.
You're in finance.
Yep.
What about
my brother and my own brother?
Really?
Runs a hedge fund.
Okay. And what about your son?
My son is he's 13, turning 14.
Is he going to be interested in this?
I hope so.
That'd be so cool. 3 generations,
He
dude?
knows dad's a trader, and he shows interest in it.
Yeah.
He's just starting to be on social media a little bit, so he's always liking my posts and stuff like that, which I think is really cool. But it might be a little above his education level. He's
Still
very
young.
smart.
Still young.
He's extremely smart.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's shown that interest in it yet.
Okay.
I want him to have that fire because, anything that we push on somebody,
They're going to push away.
They're going to push back.
Yep. But if he's got the fire, maybe he can figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think, this is the question I was leading to, do you think that in order to be successful and make money as a trader, you have to be passionate about it?
I think you have to be passionate. I also think you have to approach it from an entrepreneurial mindset. It's a business. And all businesses involve risk. They involve usually a lot of capital, right? And that might take the form of losing money, or the money you lose while you learn, or the time you lose while you're learning. It's an investment. I've been self-employed for going on 20 years. So I've always approached it from, this is my business. There's costs involved, and I got to pay the piper, right?
Okay, so let's go back and forth on this. I'm not sure that you have to be super passionate about it. I wonder what the levers are. We talked about this at the seminar.
Right.
If I'm super disciplined, and especially if I'm older, like as I get older, I start to think about this more. If I'm older, I've found success in other areas of life, and I know how to exemplify discipline, why can't I be successful at trading even if I don't give a fuck about markets?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's so hard.
It is. But you get where I'm coming from, right?
I do.
Like if the person
I think it's possible.
It's possible, but maybe they don't get the long-term success.
Yeah,
Maybe they don't
or
get
the rewarding
fullest.
factor
Exactly.
of it, right?
Yes.
Because I find trading much more than financial reward.
Right. They would just see the finance of it and they would be like, okay, I'm making more money. Cool.
I enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
Right? I enjoy the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Problem solving.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you don't like problem solving, you're just doing it for money. That's where I do agree with you. That's where it doesn't
And I
go.
think we see that in professional athletes as well.
Dude, did you see Ronaldo's new contract?
No.
$3 million a week.
Right.
How many people would you give them $3 million a week and they'd still show up to work?
Right.
And want to win?
Right.
So that's like what you're saying. He loves the problem solving. He loves the game more than the money.
Correct.
Yes, bro.
And we see, I think Djokovic.
Yeah.
Am I saying that
Yeah.
right? Djokovic, the tennis player.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's won,
39 years old. He's the
Grand
GOAT.
Slam.
He's the GOAT.
And, this guy has nothing left to prove to anybody.
And he's still playing.
He doesn't have to play. He's playing to prove something to himself. He wants to keep going until he can't go anymore.
And that fires me up, dude. It gives me chills because that is the crazy that gets you to
it's borderline obsession.
And it gets you to greatness.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if you become great as a trader in the way that I'm saying it. You might make some money, but to be great, you have to be obsessed.
I'm perfectly happy with being a profitable average trader,
Same.
which is that's a good lifestyle, man.
I agree.
I'm perfectly happy with that.
I agree because I don't want to live the lifestyle. I mean, Biggie said it. More money, more problems, right? So you have to always keep things in check.
I come from a place of realism too. No matter how good you are at something, there's always somebody better.
Fuck yeah.
All right. I never showed up at this to become the best trader ever.
Right.
Nor do I expect myself to become the best trader ever.
Right.
So when I hear people on social media saying, well, the best traders say to do this, well, guess what? Like, you're probably never going to attain his level. Find yourself a profitable, successful trader and learn from them, because that's most likely who you're going to become.
Exactly.
Right. We're not all training the next,
Merritt.
George Soros.
Right.
Here.
But even guys like Merritt Black or Lance Breitstein, like those guys, like they're extremely successful traders.
Exactly.
You can still make a good living and not be that guy.
100%.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody talks about the average trader.
No.
Right?
The guy that makes an extra
the guy
$5,000
that
to
makes their
$10,000,
money, living the life, has a nice lifestyle,
takes more vacations from his trading, pays his extra credit cards off with his trading.
He's not worried about money.
Yep.
He knows he can make money. He's not worried about losing his job.
Yep.
Nobody talks about that guy.
Nope. They talk about the exceptional people
Right.
that most people don't have the habits and the discipline to actually reach. Yeah.
Or
Great
just
point.
quite possibly
The drive.
or the genetic makeup.
Facts.
Maybe there's an intelligence factor. I don't know.
Okay, so then here's another good question. You mentioned that, so I got another good
Yeah.
one. How smart do you think you have to be to make money as a trader?
I would say you need at least enough intelligence to be able to wrap your head around financial concepts. Right?
Like what?
Like understanding price action, why price moves.
Okay.
Right. Basic financial fundamentals, how to manage money.
So like an average IQ?
I would say average IQ.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you struggle with numbers, trading is probably not the profession for you.
No.
If you struggle with managing money, especially your own money, trading's probably not for you.
Or if you're even just too risky.
Yeah.
Like if you just are an all in, all out kind of person,
Correct.
you don't know how to play the pot, money management, that probably is not for you.
And there
either.
might be exceptions of people that overcome that,
Yeah.
right? Like the gambling addict, for example. Some of those guys are able to turn that around and become traders, But if it's a problem and you're destitute,
it's going to become a bigger problem.
it's going to become a bigger problem. And I've seen, unfortunately, gambling addictions take people out.
Yeah.
Right, so that's something to be careful of.
Another sidebar.
Yeah.
What's crazy that I've been hearing about is people with sports gambling, gambling away their savings, and have to go sit down to dinner with their wife and act like it's fine.
Right.
Because like those losses, it just in some ways like trading can compound very quickly.
Right.
And you're doing it from your phone, just clicking buttons, and boom, there goes your savings.
Right.
And that like, it becomes an addiction. Like you couldn't
Absolutely.
stop yourself. Yeah.
And there's also a bigger issue here. I love prop firms, and I think they're great, and they lower the bar for traders getting into the game. But unlike traditional trading, before we had prop firms, you needed the cash.
Yes.
You didn't have cash, you couldn't trade. Right? Prop firms have changed that. You
Right.
can buy it on a credit card.
Yep.
And as we know, what you can do with a credit card, you can max it out.
Yep.
Right? So people have to be really careful with their credit in trading prop firms and going into debt.
Crazy.
Trying to trade.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it becomes dangerous. I've been telling a lot of the people in our mentorship group, come up with a number that you're comfortable spending every month on prop firm challenges, and that'll help you figure out how hard you should be trading those prop firm challenges.
Right.
You want to spend $500 a month? Maybe you don't want to trade them too hard because you're not
Right.
going to get that many for $500.
Exactly.
Some
Make it
people-
last.
Make it last. Some people want to spend $5,000. You might be a guy that can blow through some of them, but hopefully that guy will also take then bigger payouts and cover his nut.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's go to the auction theory stuff.
Let's do it.
I want to understand this a little bit more. So where did you learn auction theory and the market profile stuff that you use today?
Absolutely. So auction market theory goes back to the 80s. It's
Okay.
not new. These are not new concepts. I didn't invent any of this stuff, right? So one of the top places I learned from Merritt Black, from Apteros, and also SMB Capital fame.
Yep.
He teaches NADRO, which is based on auction market theory and market profile. So I learned a lot there, and Aaron Corbs as well through his volume profile method.
Nice.
And I kind of married a bunch of different things together.
That's usually how it is.
Exactly. But again, what I found in a lot of these, courses and education that I got over the years was that I still didn't have the setup, right? Like I knew how to come up with trade ideas.
Right, like the thesis is.
Exactly.
But when am I getting in?
Right. But
Yeah.
I wanted something more concrete.
Okay.
Right? Something more. I needed some specificity.
Yeah.
I'm saying that wrong.
No, specificity. Yeah. We're not spelling people here, everybody. Yeah, I know what
right.
you mean. Something more specific.
Does this get edited?
No, we're leaving it in. Dude, Isaac was in here, and
Yeah.
we did a podcast. I was at the other studio, and he's like,
Oh, I sound like an idiot.
no, you don't sound like an idiot, bro. You're a normal guy.
Yeah.
He fucking, he's coughing, and he's like, edit this out. And then you hear me go, I'm not editing it out. I'm leaving it in there. Like, you coughed. You're a normal person.
Yeah.
You just say something. It's okay.
Right.
So you were looking for something more specific. That's where the VWAP wave comes
Correct.
in. So this whole thing that we've talked about today is a combination of auction market theory, a little bit of volume profile,
Yep.
and VWAP.
Correct.
Interesting.
So as I learned, as I traded these through my small cap days and then ultimately through futures, what I quickly began to see is 4 setups that I was able to identify that happened every day, multiple times a day.
Really?
Based on what I had learned.
Okay.
So in my own way, I built my own playbook, right? I gave them names. I gave them criteria. What am I looking for? So essentially, VWAP Wave System is a culmination of my own personal playbook.
Cool. So it's very unique to you.
Yeah.
Interesting. And it's a culmination of a lot of different people that have
is.
made you understand the markets the way that you do.
Correct.
Do you think that the market, I think there's a stigma around scalping. So like, does the volume profile, VWAP wave stuff, how does it work when you can scalp it, but you can also swing trade it? Because I feel like
Absolutely.
people are hesitant to try it because they see a lot of, like Brian Shannon, it's mainly swing trading. It's what he talks about. You know what I'm saying? And then people think, well, how do I apply this to the shorter time frame?
Right. So you'll quickly see if you look at it or even back test it. We see this trading of levels to levels.
Right.
Right. Price rarely goes in one straight line.
Unfortunately.
So if you're a day trader, in my opinion, there's a lot more opportunity in taking level to level trades and accumulating points that way rather than searching for the one banger trade that may or may not come.
That might be the mic drop right there.
Yeah.
That was good. That's
Yeah.
very true. I agree with
Right.
that. Okay, so explain that for everybody.
So, like I said, price doesn't always travel in a straight line. Sometimes it does, but that's rare. I mean, 80% of the time we're trading in a range, retracing level to level. We go up a lot, we go up a little, we come back. It's just seemingly, traveling around, right? So there's a lot of opportunity in trading from one high probability level to another, which we've identified in the system. Maybe taking an upper band, low volume node to the point of control, right? If it holds a point of control, we're going to expect to go to that recent saddle level. It's based on the principles.
Yep.
This is how price trades when we're in fair value, when there's agreed upon price. And what's essentially happening in these high volume nodes or in these fair value areas is the big players, the banks, the institutions.
That's where they play.
They're transacting business, right? They're getting filled. They're exchanging shares. They're keeping price in that area so they can do business. When they're done doing business, they're going to move price either up or down in search of the next fair value area where they can continue to transact business. That's auction market theory in a nutshell, and that's what the market is doing ad infinitum. Now, this is also fractal, so this plays out on the short-term time frames. This also plays out on the higher time frames. On
So
the
that's
daily,
why you can do both.
You can swing trade
I
it.
gotcha.
You can trade it intraday. You can trade it
gotcha.
on the minute. You can trade it on the hourly. It happens on every time frame.
Interesting.
Yep.
Couple of those buzzwords you said there are ICT buzzwords. As we were talking about at breakfast, ICT is new. These concepts are not. And a lot of the jargon that the internet, not just ICT, but a lot of people on the internet throw into these concepts clouds the water. So for people that want to learn more about just auction market theory in general,
Sure.
beyond the VWAP wave for the setup, the thesis behind these setups, where would you direct them for a resource?
So there's books by Stoudemire that go back to the 80s,
Yeah.
the original auction market
You're gonna have to
theory
read,
books.
everybody,
Yeah,
okay?
there's books involved in this. But there's a lot of great traders that have published a lot of information, including Merritt.
Merritt,
Yep.
Umar from TradeZell, I think, trades
Yep,
this way. A lot of
exactly.
big traders I know trade this way.
Yep. So this is, it's been proven that it's just how price tends to work. It was a huge development when they discovered how markets essentially have been moving this way since tulips were experiencing a bubble.
Right, in the bubble, in the Amsterdam.
Right.
So if the...
And just real quick, you talked about ICT buzzwords, one I hear all the time, fair value gap, right? That's just a low volume node on the volume profile, which has existed for, or a single print on the market profile.
It's been there.
Fair value.
Call it whatever you want.
Yep. Been around for 30, 40 years.
That'll break some people's mind right there.
Yeah, same concept.
I got some rapid fires for you that I want to hit you with because I'd love to know your answer. But the concepts that you trade, how important is thesis versus execution? What is more important to profitable trading?
It's a great question. I would argue that they're both essential in a lot of ways.
50-50? 51-49?
I would say 50-50. You can't
Really?
have one without the other.
Can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
So it has to have both.
Exactly.
Great
You could
answer.
have great
I love
thesis, but you can totally ruin the execution and lose on a winning trade, a winning idea.
I love that.
Without execution or without a thesis, you're just trading randomly, in my opinion.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the most influential person that you've ever met?
I would have to, as far as ever met,
Yeah.
I mean, meeting Ross was pretty awesome.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
He seems like a humble guy on YouTube, but this guy has everything I want. He's a family man. He's extremely successful. He's a brilliant trader. He's really nice. He's just a good dude. As far as inspirational, I mean, he has everything I would want.
So if there's one habit that he has that you think you need to work on, what is it?
Just showing up every day and just being a master of yourself.
He's that consistent.
And he doesn't care what anybody else thinks or says.
That's a huge one. In this internet space that we're all in,
he's got a lot of haters.
He's probably got the most haters. He's got 2 million followers on YouTube.
Yeah, but this guy is extremely successful.
Right.
As a trader, as a businessman.
Right.
And
of course, more money, more problems. You're going to get more haters.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. With that question in mind, who has made a bigger impact on your trading than him? As anyone else? Because it seems like he's more of an inspiration. It doesn't seem like he's the root of your education.
He's not. No. He's definitely somebody I would aspire to be like.
Sure.
Not adopt his strategy.
Exactly.
I would say probably it's a tight call between Merritt Black and Aaron Corbs.
Yeah.
I would say.
Okay.
I really enjoyed how Corbs put his volume profile method together. But I would say the narrative that Merritt was able to deliver through his NADRO, it all starts with a narrative, right? What's the trade idea, right? And then acceptance, right? Developing value, the market rhythm, and then order flow. That's what NADRO stands for.
Got it.
Right? And it goes in that order. So you start with a narrative. What's my trade idea? What's based on auction market theory?
Right.
Right? Acceptance, where is price holding? So we don't want just price to tip into a price area. We need to see acceptance. And he defines acceptance as either time or distance.
Okay.
Right? So if we're not holding on a certain level for some time, or we haven't traveled as far deep enough into it, and that's subjective, but we need to see either one of those two before, we're going to expect a rejection until we see acceptance. Right? So that's why we react to price. We don't just predict what's going to happen. Just because we're going into this price level doesn't mean we're going to stay in that level. We want to see some acceptance. Right? Developing value, right? So where is the current, or we have a value area developing? If so, we're going to have a certain setup. If we're not, we're in imbalance, we're going to trade another setup, right? Market rhythm, the size of rotations, right? So we can,
higher highs to higher lows.
Exactly. And how big are they, right? If we have a 100-point rotation up, I'm not going to buy a 5-point rotation down, right? That's too early.
Yeah.
I need to wait for a bigger pullback after a big move like that.
Makes sense.
And then lastly, order flow. Right. So the tape, buying pressure, selling pressure, cumulative delta, footprints if you use those.
What's a footprint?
Footprint are the bid and the ask actual numbers inside a candlestick.
Oh.
So you can see who's on the bid, who's on the ask, and how many have transacted. It's a good way of seeing finished auctions or unfinished auctions. I don't use them. Some people do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But just another way of confirming order flow.
So now the way that you teach this, you have your mentorship group, you've got the book. And you're streaming every day.
Correct.
How hard has it been to trade and stream every day?
It was hard at first.
It's very difficult.
I'm relatively new to the streaming.
I know you said
game.
90 days,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was hard because I'm used to just focusing on my own stuff, right? But now I think I've acclimated relatively quick, and if anything, it's kept me more true to my system.
That's what I tell.
Right?
Everybody says that.
Yeah.
At the seminar, I was telling everybody, start streaming.
Right.
Even if no one watches, it'll make you more accountable.
Right.
And every person that's done that has told me it's true.
Because I feel a sense of responsibility and accountability to the people that are spending their time, whether it's the free stream or paying to be in my premium community.
Yeah.
I have a responsibility to them.
Yeah.
To trade like I teach.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the system, because every time I'm taking a trade, I have a name for it. This is why I'm taking it. This is right out of the book. This is the trade, and it's very cut and dry, and they'll hold me accountable. Drysdale, what's the name of this trade?
Oh, dude,
what trade is this you're taking right now?
Dude, the chat. When we make a big extended move and I'm like selling it off the top, trying to revert back to VWAP, people are in the chat. Stop fighting the VWAP. You said yesterday you wouldn't fight the VWAP. Yeah, yes, and they do. They hold you accountable.
I'm human, right? I'm not a machine, right?
100%.
I'm not a robot, right?
100%.
I make mistakes all the time,
right?
So I appreciate being held accountable.
Me too.
I do feel responsible. I
think because we know our own fallacies.
Exactly.
Like I know I'm a human. I know I'm going to want to gamble. I know I'm going to get overconfident. So I need that external pressure. So use it as motivation, everybody. Maybe some of you listening need to start streaming.
Yeah.
If not, just sharing your content. Because how rewarding has it been in just the last 90 days for you to get involved with us and start meeting more people?
Huge.
Right.
hugely rewarding.
Yeah.
We also have a trading lounge in the
Okay, what's that?
Discord. It's just open mic, open screen. So people can go in there and they can share their screen, share their mic, and
Ask for
essentially
feedback?
stream to the other members
That's cool.
or trade collaboratively.
I like that.
Yep. So that's a good first step
Yeah.
for anybody who's not comfortable streaming or going live publicly. You know, maybe look for a nice tight little group you can trade with.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to find your tribe.
Yep.
You got to find people that
Absolutely.
maybe trade a little bit similar to you. Doesn't
think
have
that
to-
helps.
It helps, but it doesn't have to be.
No.
But you need somebody that you can outlet to. Like you said in the beginning, like you don't always want to go to your wife or your girlfriend and talk about
Right.
the losses, but you want to not simmer on them either, because then they're going to come out tomorrow and you're trading and you're going to trade like
Exactly.
shit.
Right.
Yeah. Last question. If you could go back, I always ask this at the end. If you could go all the way back to when you first started trading, even the penny stock stuff, what would be, actually, let's do it into a two-part question. First part is when you started trading the penny stocks, what would you tell that version of yourself? And then let's do it for the prop firm stuff, since that's a little bit more recent. Two
Right.
pieces of advice.
So, I mean, the answer comes right to mind.
What is it?
Slow down.
God damn it. Everybody says that. If you've been watching the podcast, you know, everybody says that same answer. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slow down. Right? There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to know. You don't know what you don't know. Right? And there's a lot to find out about yourself, about trading.
Yeah.
It's easy to dig yourself into a hole that just becomes very difficult to dig out of before you have enough information to really be successful and profitable and consistent. Now, that's still part of the way.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you can mitigate that, you know, slow down, be patient. This is a long game, right? It takes, in my opinion, it takes years.
Even with mentorship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even with mentorship to be a confident, successful trader.
Yeah.
And even then, it doesn't get easy.
No, you're
It's-
still fallible.
You're just getting better.
Yes.
Right.
Agreed. Okay, so now the prop firm side. Advice to the new guys that are, I'm sure there's a couple people that are on the fence, haven't taken a prop challenge
Absolutely. Start with one account.
yet. Yeah?
Yeah. Start with one. If you can't get a payout in one, you're not going to get a payout in 5 or 10. Don't copy trade until you've gotten yourself a payout. I learned that lesson the hard way when I was
Same.
like trading 20 accounts.
and you blow
It
them
hurts
all.
a lot more when you blow 20 accounts than when you blow one.
100%. And like we said already, most people are going to fail at least one before
sure.
they get paid out. So it's
If
better.
not, you're an anomaly. Now, here's the other thing with trading.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're not going to be, they're different.
Oh, God.
Right. That's not me. I'm going to succeed where you other fellows have failed. Right? I'm different.
It's
right?
actually funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the same way.
Same.
I'm going
That's
to be
why it's
different.
funny.
I'm going to be different. I'm going to succeed a lot faster. I'm going to get this.
Right.
You know, you've already warned me about some of this stuff.
So I should be fine.
So I should be fine. And that's just a thick-headedness.
Yeah, wait
that
till the
we
market hits you
have.
with an elbow.
Exactly.
over the top.
I like knocks my teeth out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But Chris, this has been amazing. I'm taking notes as we're going, dude. Ton of timestamps.
Awesome.
Anything you want to leave everybody with?
Oh, that's a good question. You know, I do provide a free week trial to everybody who wants to just check us out.
And we'll link that below, everybody.
Yeah, I give the course away for free.
Yep.
Yeah, you can take the course in the free trial. And if you want to stick around, great. But it's an opportunity to just check out something different, learn something maybe that you don't know before, and expound your knowledge. We would love to have you. And that's all I got.
Well, thank you for making the drive, dude. Thank
Yeah.
you for making this happen. Guys, girls that are listening, the book will be linked down below. I'll put the Amazon link there. I'll put the link for the free week as well. So anything you want to do with Chris, you'll be able to get connected through the links in the description. But thank you,
Awesome.
dude.
Thanks so much.
Hopefully this will be part 1. I was thinking as we're doing this, maybe we'll do a part 2. You, me, and Aaron Corbs.
Oh, that
I've
would
had
be
him on,
badass.
and we haven't had that podcast since I told you about the time where he was like, my girlfriend just broke up with me.
Right.
So we can rekindle that. Maybe he's got a new girlfriend.
That'd be great.
Cool.
I think he's a great. I mean,
He's a great dude. People loved it. It's
Very
one of my most
smart.
viewed episodes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to hit him up. Have you ever met with him at all?
No, I haven't.
Oh, dude, then that
No.
could be great because like you gave him some good flowers in this
Yeah.
episode.
I did.
Yeah. Cool. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Awesome. Thank you.